Hello. Um, I know that this went home in your packets originally when we went home from school back in March, and I realized I never went over the answers with you. So this is about the composer Johann Sebastian Bach. A lot of you recognize him from the picture in the back of our classroom. And here is the recording that's supposed to go along with it. It's called Invention in A minor. I'll let that play. In case you didn't read it, I will read it, but I will put the music a little further away, maybe. Johann Sebastian Bach was born in Eisenach, Germany, into a large family of musicians. His father played the violin. Other relatives were fiddlers, music copyists, town pipers, and played the oboe or organ. It was no wonder that Bach grew up loving music. Bach's parents died when he was 10 years old. He went to live with his oldest brother, Christoph, who taught him to play the harpsichord and organ. During this time, Bach went to school where his boy's soprano voice was admired. When his voice changed, he studied violin, but soon became interested in the organ and decided to pursue church music. At the age of 18, he became an organist at Arnstadt, maybe. I don't really know how to say places in Germany, and began composing. When he was 22, Bach moved to Mulhausen and married Maria Barbara Bach. They had 7 children. He was known as an outstanding He was known as an outstanding church musician, an excellent organist, and was appointed to court organist and violinist to the Duke Weimar. He stayed in Weimar for 9 years, and during this time Bach composed some of his finest organ music, including the great toccata and fugue in D minor, as well as church cantatas and keyboard suites. In 1717, when he was 32, Bach accepted the post of Master of Music to Prince Leopold of Anhalt-Köthen. While there, he composed much of his orchestral music, including the 6 popular Brandenburg concertos, a work for the clavichord and harpsichord. Those we've listened to before, the Brandenburg concertos. I think we played a game where we tried to dance to the Brandenburg concertos. Here's Brandenburg concerto number 3. I'm sure I'll get an ad first. Oh, I didn't. Cool. Bach's wife, Maria, died in 1720. In 1721, he married the beautiful Anna Magdalena Wuchen, who was a good singer and musician. Bach had 13 more children with her and taught most of his children to play a musical instrument. He composed a little book for the keyboard for his 9-year-old son, Wilhelm Friedmann. Wilhelm grew up to be a respected performer and composer in his own right, as did several of Bach's sons. In 1723, Bach accepted the post of music director of St. Thomas's School in Leipzig. Here he composed many of his most famous choral works, including his Christmas Oratorio and the St. Matthew Passion. Oratorios are cool because they're different than operas. There's not like as much of a story or dialogue, but like similar to a play, people like dress up and wear costumes. Maybe we'll watch an oratorio on a video sometime. Bach was a deeply religious and devoted family man. His music was signed SDG, Soli Deo Gloria, which means to the glory of God. He spent many musical evenings with his family and boasted he could form a vocal and instrumental ensemble just from his family alone. He probably could, since he had like 20 kids. Bach became blind in 1749 and died in 1750. Johann Sebastian Bach is considered to be one of the greatest masters of the Baroque period. You may be thinking, what is the Baroque period? Well, guess what the next page will tell us? The years 1600 to 1750 were called the Baroque period in music. I always remember it because I say the Handel, another composer, on the Bach, that's this composer, door is Baroque. And then somebody asks, how much will it take to fix it? And you say, about 16 to 1750. Get it? That's how I remember the Baroque era. This was a time of kings, castles, royal pomp and ceremony, but also a time of growing towns and development of trade. manufacturing, and education in Europe. Because most Baroque musicians worked as servants of the royal court, the church, or town, their music reflected their occupations. Court musicians wrote dances and music for concerts and royal ceremonies. Church musicians wrote instrumental and vocal music for church. Services and oratorios and masses for special occasions. And services and oratorios and masses for special occasions. Some musicians were supported by patrons who expected the composer to write music for them. Most Baroque musicians composed, performed, conducted, and taught. A compositional technique known as counterpoint was developed and perfected in the Baroque era. Counterpoint involves combining two or more contrasting themes in a way that sounds unified. Examples of counterpoint are inventions and fugues. We're not listening to a fugue right now, but we listened to Invention in A minor. The art, music, and architecture of the Baroque period had fancy decoration and a great deal of ornamentation. See photograph. See, that's like a fancy church. Oh, it's the organ in the church. It's in a cathedral, the Friedberg Cathedral. So it's like really fancy, like all this like extra decoration stuff. You know, that doesn't need to be there, but it looks nice. And that's kind of what the Baroque period was about. Even notes that weren't really essential to the song, they'd add them in because they'd be like, oh, let's decorate this song a little more with some more notes. That's how the Baroque period was. Oh, sometimes they're called trills or grace notes. So like here they give us an example of what the music would be, kind of like bare bones, simple, simplified, broken down. This one, but then in the Baroque period, they add a bunch of extra notes to make it sound fancier. They've got 16th notes and 8th notes in there. See, in the original, they just have some quarter notes and a dotted half note at the end, but they add a bunch of quicker. It's hard to see where I'm pointing because it's backward. These are all 16th notes here. And then we have a 16th note connected to an 8th note, and I really can't do things mirrored. It really confuses me. Using major and minor keys rather than the modes of the Renaissance, composers wrote concertos, preludes, fugues, sonatas, and suites for instruments. They composed oratorios, cantatas, masses, operas, and passions for voices. Keyboard instruments of the Baroque period were organ, clavichord, and the harpsichord. Baroque music reached its highest peak in the music of Johann Sebastian Bach. Oh boy, here's the word search. Do I have a marker? I had one. There we are. So, oh, here we go again. Yeah, enough with the Brandenburg Concerto here. We gotta think. We're word searching now. All right. So, first question is: Bach was born in Eisenach. Do you remember what country he was born in? Starts with a G, ends with an Germany. Germany. So let's see if I can find some Germany here. Oh, I'm so bad at word searches. Right here. Germany. There, that's better. Bach enjoyed happy musical evenings with his family. He had a total of 20 children. It's a little bit out there. That's a pretty big number, Bach, but okay. 20. Bach played the violin, organ, and, okay, it's either going to be the clavichord or the harpsichord, so we don't really know what word we're looking for here. Oh, except for I see it. Harpsichord. The harpsichord's cool because it was, it's actually kind of like a piano, but this is before they had pianos. So it's plucked with like a quill. They're like strings that are plucked when you play the keys. It can't get very loud. That's the only drawback really to a harpsichord. It's got to be kind of quiet. If you want to add volume, you can't just hit the harpsichord harder like you can the piano. You have to add harpsichords, like more harpsichord players, which is called terrace dynamics. One of Bach's best known choral works is the Christmas Oratorio. I remember reading that. Oh boy. Christmas. Oh, here's an MAS together. I bet that is. Yep. Christmas. I'm realizing that even though I'm using red marker, it's still really hard to see these. Sorry. Bach is considered to be one of the greatest composers of the what area? The Renaissance area? Nope. The Romantic era? Nope. The Baroque era. The handle on the Bach door is Baroque. Baroque. So that's all of the words that we needed to find, I'm pretty sure. Although I did find another one that I think we should circle just because it's hilarious. You could say Bach played the violin, the organ, and the... I'm just going to circle it because it's fun. The goat. He didn't play the goat. The goat is not a musical instrument. It's an animal. But I like to imagine that he could play a goat because goats make hilarious noises. All right. So those were the answers to the Bach packet that I sent home with you. I know there are some big words in there, maybe words you hadn't come across before. Obviously words that I don't know how to pronounce, especially German words. Let me know if you have any questions about that. And let me know what you think of the board game Spiraling Fists that I posted above on my YouTube channel. Because I need help finishing that game so that we can play it together when we go back to school. All right, have a good one, guys. Bye.